I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not. But my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erika of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch.
No, I believe you. I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that when
what I understand
friendship should not, in our business, I think it's important. Listen,
friendship should not trump. We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me.
So those comments were made by Ben Shapiro. Okay. Megyn Kelly, the next day, says this.
He said that Candace has been claiming Erika Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard. And I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erika Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erika, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point, but she's specifically been defending Erika Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erika. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erika. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
There's a lot more to this than what Megyn Kelly is saying. And has Candace Owens directly said that Erika Kirk was, responsible by name? She has not said those words because Candace Owens is very fucking smart. I've said this 1,000 times. You can think whatever you want of Candace Owens. She is smart as hell. And she has very, very much insinuated that this has happened. So here's some clips right here.
Realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing.
Nothing in Charlie's life was real.
Nothing in his life was real. Like, everyone's just like, oh, let's just move on. It's so crazy to want to figure out what happened. Let's just start issuing gag orders. And the way to honor him is to give money. I don't know. There's just something really sick and demonic about the entire thing.
It's looking to me like the apparent plan was to assassinate Charlie Kirk, who had at long last faltered on the pro-Israel cause. Okay, his words, not mine. And then to stage a hostile takeover of his brand and of his legacy.
Turning Point USA, the conservative grassroots organization co-founded by Kirk, announcing his widow Erika will take over as the group's CEO.
There's two things happening here.
Yeah, so of course, Erika Kirk is now the CEO of Turning Point. She's running Turning Point. Candace Owens is claiming that Turning Point is directly behind, or she's insinuating that Turning Point is directly behind this. By the way, I'm not saying Candace is right or wrong. I'm just giving you the lay of the land here. Because unlike a lot of people online, I'm not going to pretend to know the answer. I tend to lean towards Candace being not correct, but I'm not going to just dismiss her theories at this point in time, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just sitting back with the popcorn, because this is like a fucking TV series, dude. This shit is crazy.
There's a widow, and then there is the chairman and the CEO, and she has assumed that role. Okay, so criticisms pertaining to anything at Turning Point USA that are being directed at Erika are fair. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted.
How can Megyn Kelly say that she's not doing this when, yeah, if you want to get into semantics, if you want to get into that, but like she's heavily implying, heavily implying.
I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. none of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving. But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king.
Crazy, dude.
to
This is
install
amazing.
A new ruler who the king would have never approved of.
Like, okay. I'm trying to think of how to say what I'm about to say without saying something that I don't want to say. From what I'm seeing, I think Charlie Kirk was a great man. I absolutely do. I think he was an awesome human being. I think he created an amazing movement with TPUSA. I think he was well ahead of his time. I think he probably would have become president of the United States in another 15 years. I absolutely believe all of that stuff. I also understand that people are, and this happens a lot when people pass, but Charlie Kirk passed away in one of the most horrific ways we've ever seen. The details surrounding it, the fact that it was on camera, the fact that he was where he was at. It's the worst thing I've ever experienced, like from a public, assassination. I've never seen anything like it. But this idea that like Charlie Kirk was the single voice that was controlling the Trump administration, and now that he's gone, the Trump administration has lost their way. And it's a little like overstepping. No one was like, everybody loved Charlie Kirk, but no one was like, this, like, no one was saying like Charlie Kirk was like this guy that was this crucial and important to, like, it's kind of like people are overhyping it a little bit, and it's like, okay, it's really, it's kind of annoying, and that people are eating it up too. You know what I'm saying?
He left me a blueprint in all of his journals, but more so than that, I was his vault for literally everything. He shared everything with me, his vision, his dreams.
In the event of his untimely death, like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do.
Somebody says this is a BBC edit. She never outright accused Erika, and I never said she did, but the implication is there. Now, if there are clips where she blatantly says every time she's accusing Turning Point, and she blatantly says, I don't believe Erika is part of this, by the way. I believe there are deeper evil, movements within or whatever. But I don't think she's said that. Maybe she has, but I'm just going on this information. By the way, I don't necessarily like this account that clips this shit together. This Milk Bar TV guy. The reason I know him is because he used to put Andrew Tate clips together because he had a hate boner for Andrew Tate. And I'm not telling you to, Andrew Tate's anything other, but like, it's when your entire existence is about like clipping someone together you don't like. So that's all I'm saying.
Call Erika, and then after you call Erika, come find this notebook. And in this notebook, you'll see that I am using adjectives like fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy.
My husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Why are you doing that? Why do I feel like you're trying to program me? And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, oh, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? Maybe call one of his many lawyers, maybe formalize it in a will, because that's what you're supposed to do if you are thinking about dying and you need to make a plan. You make a will. I'm sure he had a will, but no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to.
I also hear this manipulative music in the background, and the manipulative music is meant to make you think she's crazy. And again, I'm not a fan of Candace, but I can objectively look at how this is being presented to me. You are presenting this trying to make me believe. Like, I hate when people do that bullshit. So it's like the Trump argument of like, if Trump is so bad, why do you have to add all of this shit to make everything so much worse that it's obvious that you're manipulating? Like, if Candace is so bad, why do you have to add creepy music? Why do you have to add jump cuts and edits? I personally don't think Candace is correct. But when you go out of your way to try to manipulate, it makes me question, why can't you just present without all of the hoopla around it?
To haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to accept that they most definitely read, like for sure. That's what it feels like. I am told that these people believe the official narrative. Lone shooter. No one else involved. Just a crazy guy with too many pronouns in his bio.
I mean, to be fair, like, I like an argument that Charlie Kirk made when he was debating an atheist, where he basically said that, and I'm going to butcher the conversation, but the atheist was basically like, I guess he believed in like the Big Bang Theory or whatever it was, like all of this evolution. And Charlie Kirk was like, you have a lot more faith than I do. Because, you know, Charlie believed in Jesus Christ. And he's like, your faith requires you to just think all of this crazy stuff happened, where I believe in Jesus. And so the reason I say that is that on one hand, you have a story of a mentally deranged leftist lunatic that, you know, assassinated Charlie Kirk. On the other hand, you have this deep conspiracy that only Candace Owens is able to figure out. And it has so many fucking moving parts and layers to it that you can't even keep up with it. Which one is more believable? That's the question that I would present to you.
To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
In 1963 called and they want their narrative back. All that's missing from the story is a grassy knoll, right? Just need a grassy knoll. Anyway.
Simplest answer is the most likely. You know, I remember years ago growing up with, you know, fixing when I'd have a problem with my car. My dad would always teach me, because when I would have a problem with my car, I would always like go to the most extreme, like, oh, the engine must be out or the transmission. And my dad was like, usually when you have a problem with your car, it's usually something very, very small that you would never think of. It's usually a very simple answer. So you start out with the simple things and work your way up to the major stuff. You know, maybe it's a fuse. It could be as simple as a fuse being out, but you're like, oh, I got to check the engine or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, start out with the small, simple things. And usually those are the things that are wrong with it. Simple answer is usually the most likely.
He's back at headquarters. I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like,
yes, exactly. Like needs gas. Like for the women out there, like women, if your car doesn't start, probably needs gas. Just crazy idea, women. Probably need to put gas in your vehicle. That's every time, almost every time a woman's like, my car won't start. Have you put gas in it? That's probably the answer.
like, I don't know, LBJ when he gets sworn in that famous picture. Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ.
Okay, so anyway, we're at the close of this. So Candace Owens is Candace Owens. I have a bigger problem with the editing of this video more than I have a problem with what Candace is saying, because you're always going to have you're going to have the opposite effect on me when you are building a narrative. Clearly this guy is building a narrative around, he doesn't like Candace Owens. That's fine. I don't either. So present what her words are without the cute tricks and the bullshit. But if you can't do that, that makes me think that you are hiding something she actually said. But between little Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, who has the #1 podcast in the world right now, the rise of Nick Fuentes, there's a lot of, dude, it is tough on social media right now to navigate the craziness. So, interesting times.